Legoland, Windsor. This story is about a young boy called Chiang. He loves Lego and had always wanted to travel to one of the parks called Legoland. And in 2010, he got his chance. It was late January, and he heard his English teacher say that he was going to England for a holiday with his family. Chiang raised his hand and then spoke out. "Is there a Legoland in England, sir?" His wise and handsome teacher looked at him and replied, "Well, yes, there is." After the class had ended, he stood at the teacher's desk and asked, "If I pay for the flight, could you take me with you to England so that I can visit Legoland?" His kind and wonderful teacher nodded his head and told him that he had to behave or else. On the 4th of February, they all set off for England, and Chiang tried his best to be good. The flight to London was terribly long, but he passed the time playing computer games and watching the movies that were playing on the screen. As they arrived in London, his teacher shook his hand and said, "Here we are. The bus for Legoland is that way. I will see you in 2 weeks, okay?" Chiang was free for the first time in his life and could not wait to get away from everyone and live life on his own. "Goodbye," he yelled as he ran off quickly. The journey to Legoland took 45 minutes, and he could hardly hold his excitement as they approached the gates to Windsor Park. "This is going to be great," he whispered. He collected his things from the bus and said thank you to the bus driver as the doors of the bus closed. But as he turned around, he got a terrible surprise. The park was closed. Chiang walked over to the sign on the main gate and squinted his eyes. "Park will reopen on 15th of February 2010, he read aloud while sighing. He placed his cold hands into his pockets and shrugged his shoulders. "Oh well, I will just have to wait," he thought. Then he noticed a small hole in the fence near the gate. It was very small, but he was sure he would fit. Chiang crawled on his hands and knees like a baby and squeezed through the tiny hole and into the park. "I made it!" he squealed in excitement. He looked around for a place to stay that was away from the cold English weather, but all the doors were locked. Then he realized that he could stay inside one of the big Lego buildings that they had built there. "Silly me," he thought as he looked around. He decided to live in the biggest building in the park. It was a copy of the Walt Disney Castle that they show at the start of their films. "Yes, that will be good enough for me," he said with pride. It was very chilly inside the hard plastic house with no doors or windows, and he felt very scared when he heard the wind blowing and the sound of trees moving gave him nightmares. The next morning he woke up early. His stomach was growling with hunger, and he needed to find some food. He rummaged through some dustbins outside the restaurant and found some interesting things. Most of the food at the top was frozen solid, but underneath he found half a candy bar, some pink candy floss, and at the bottom he found a small half bottle of water and a piece of KFC. "It's my lucky day," he thought as he ate the food greedily. After breakfast, Chiang walked around looking at all of the amazing Lego sculptures and buildings. He even tried changing a few of them to give them his own personal touch. Then he saw a new attraction that was half finished. It was a pirate's cave. And inside he saw the start of a giant ship. And deep inside he found the treasure chest. "I am rich," he giggled as he grabbed handfuls of gold-coloured Lego. He was playing happily when he noticed something that looked different. It was glowing and making a faint buzzing sound. He reached out and picked it up. In his hand was a stone, unlike any he had seen before. It was not hot, but looked like it was on fire. It looked heavy, but it was quite light. "I wish I knew what this was," he said softly. "I am the wishing rock," a voice said loudly. Chiang dropped the rock onto the floor. "Hey, careful," the voice said again. He picked it up again and said, "I wish for some food." As the words left his lips, he could see a table appeared, and on the table were the finest foods from around the world. His little eyes shone with happiness as he devoured lots of food quickly. "I wish for some drink," he yelled, and another table appeared with bottles of wine and beer and fizzy drinks. Then, without thinking, he said, "I wish I could live here forever." And as he said those words, he started to feel strange. His arms became stiff until he could no longer move. Then his chest and legs became hard. He was changing into a Lego man, and he could do nothing to stop it. Then finally, his head turned into plastic and his lips closed forever. Chiang became very famous when the Windsor Park opened a few days later. Children from all around the world look at his little plastic body and comment on how lifelike he is. I do not know if he is truly happy, but he always has a smile on his face. The end. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time.